Here we go.
Hey,
Next episode for the Giant Bear podcast. I have my co-host JB.
what's going
It's your
on?
boy Eli. We are doing the Super Bowl reaction to that most boring game ever. it was it was the one of the not the most exciting Super Bowls I've ever watched, but I mean it definitely a lot of things to discuss, kind of things to wrap up, talk about. What did you think of the game overall, JB?
I didn't even make it through the whole game, so I'm not even gonna lie. Once I saw where it was headed, I was kind of done. It wasn't really very much there for me to watch, so I kind of tapped out early on that game.
Tapped out early.
I knew the greatness of Tom Brady was gonna shine through. So,
well, unfortunately, I made it all the way through the entire game.
But you went to a Super Bowl party, though, didn't you?
That doesn't mean I could have left at any point,
Yeah,
and I chose not to leave. I mean, it was just I kind of bared with it, hoping it would get better. Maybe maybe they would figure it out at the end of the game, and no, it just really never happened. So I don't really know, but we'll dive into that. A couple of reactions, a couple of hot topics in there to kind of go over and kind of catch your reactions. Dive right in. Tom Brady's legacy.
The GOAT.
Is there any more argument at this point?
It shouldn't be. I think if it is, it's just those that have a biased opinion on him for whatever reason. So, I don't have a problem with Tom Brady. I mean, I think it's kind of evident that he's that guy. So, I think, my team has beat him twice in the Super Bowl. So, fuck what everybody else thinks.
When was the last time?
Fuck what everybody else
Like
thinks.
9 years ago?
It happened. How many times your team beat Tom Brady?
You know what? That's irrelevant.
All right.
That's irrelevant. Does he have more rings than Tom Brady?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, I feel like that's a pretty big deal. I feel like that makes sense. But no, Tom Brady, I mean, at this point, I think it's comical if we're going to still argue about who's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you want to have that conversation about Joe Montana or Peyton Manning, the Peyton Manning thing is hilarious to me. I don't think anybody should ever say Peyton Manning is the greatest. But
no.
At this point, I was crowning him the GOAT 2 Super Bowls ago when he made that epic comeback off the Atlanta Falcons, which that was just a horrible destruction. But at this point, I mean, the man's been to 9 Super Bowls.
I mean, 9 Super Bowls,
13 AFC Championship games,
6 wins, 3 losses.
You just have to throw in the 3 losses. You don't have to throw in the 3 losses.
Well, no, I think the losses are important because a lot of people use that as like the premise for him not being the greatest, as opposed to Joe Montana. Yeah. They kind of use that same argument that they use with Jordan with the 6 rings, no losses in the finals. I think that because football is such a team sport that it's kind of hard to quantify him losing 3 Super Bowls as a reason for him not being the greatest. You kind of got to throw in everything else, all else considering, the defense for those years that they lost. They haven't always had the most stacked team as far as talent goes as well. So I think for them to have done what they done, and shout out to Julian Edelman, had a great game. Because I think those kind of players, the Van Noys, you know what I mean? Like they have players that show up in spurts. So for them to do it the way that they did it, I was impressed by that. I really was.
So then we have the biased fans that think Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback.
He's the better quarterback right now. I mean, but if we're talking about overall now, he's got a lot of work.
Would you even say he's the better quarterback now? His team didn't even make the playoffs.
I mean, for the most part, I don't necessarily. I think right now, I don't think it's so much about his team. We're talking about individual performance right now. Like, yeah, I'm going Aaron Rodgers right now. Give me those 2 quarterbacks right now. Which one am I taking? Same age, same point in their career. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers right now.
I don't think I can do that.
Even after this Super Bowl.
Well, and so the reason why I say that, and this is not me being biased.
Yes, it is.
But it's not. No, because Aaron. Here's the thing. I'm gonna prove why this is not biased, because me being a diehard Bears fan, I actually respect Brett Favre. I liked Brett. He was the gunslinger. He was the one I liked.
Ms. John said Rodgers. Brian Mullen says Montana. All time, Brian. All time, though. I agree. He's one of the greats, but all time.
I don't know if we can say that. Here's my thing. When you look at the styles, and I think it really shows, especially if we're talking about the argument between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, all the the players that are no longer playing with Aaron Rodgers do not have a good thing to say about that man. Have not a good thing. He's not a leader. He's not a team player. That's coming from people like Greg Jennings. That was your number one receiver doing your Super Bowl run.
And they got him the fuck out of there.
But,
okay. Get him the fuck out of town. Greg Jennings.
But he's not the only one. Donald Driver said the same thing.
Get him the fuck out of town.
Come on now. How many times are you going to say? Like,
bro, I don't care about how they feel about him personally. Put him on the field. Game on the line. You want Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers now after that Super Bowl.
Aaron Rodgers is a great improvising quarterback. If the play breaks down, he can figure out how to keep the play going.
Yes.
And make a another big play. That's how I see him. Tom Brady is going to slice and dice all the way up and down the field.
Right.
That's pretty much what he's going to do. He's going to drive the ball. He'll nickel and dime you. He will shred you. He knows exactly where your defense is going to be exactly when he snaps the ball. That, to me, is a better quarterback who has the mentality rather than – all right, let me wait till my guy is open. If he's not open, let me improvise until I find the open man. Okay. That's not – I mean, now he's very good at it. He's probably one of the greats to do it.
Yeah, but if you're going to – we're talking about discounting everything that Aaron Rodgers can do right now. So the intangibles as far as throwing on the run, arm strength in general.
Yeah. Because
right now, arm strength in general, Aaron Rodgers has Tom Brady beat. Accuracy as well, as we've seen in the Super Bowl. Come on. A healthy Aaron Rodgers I'm taking over Tom Brady right now. Belichick is the reason why this Super Bowl went to the Patriots. Like, that scheme against that offense, for him to hold them to that amount of points after what they had already done in the playoffs.
Tom Brady still had to put up points.
I understand that, but the other team did too, and they didn't. So I think, I give it to Tom Brady because they have the kind of offense that's going to put up points. They proved that in the 2 games they played in the playoffs on the way there. But I feel like this was Belichick's one of his shining moments.
So if we're saying Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback
right now, I want to make sure we're talking about right now.
Fair enough. Why is that not translating to the success?
Because football is as much as any other sport is more of a team sport than any other sport.
And I agree with that piece. But even so, you're not going up against Tom Brady. You're in the NFC. He's in the AFC. Right. Why has that not been? You've been a starter since 2006.
Offensive line, for one, has for the past 2 or 3 years, and you can attest to this. As a Bears fan, the offensive line for the Packers has been trash. For one, for two,
he's had 3 different Pro Bowlers on his offensive line.
Name them.
Balaga, his left tackle. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's Bakhtiari.
Okay,
I can't pronounce his name. And then they had Josh Sitton. Those are all 3 Pro
all
Bowlers.
At the same time, or
they were all on the line at the same time.
And when was this?
Just 2 years ago.
Okay, so all these years where they've been,
we actually plucked Josh Sitton from.
Bro, you're not gonna sit and tell me that they've had a great offensive line. They've had
3 Pro Bowlers.
The only receiver
that's the equivalent to what the Dallas Cowboy line was.
And look at what their line looked like last year. You can have them and they still not be. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. If injuries take you out, that's the primary killer in the NFL. So if I'm basing it just on pure talent, just off pure skill, talent, intangibles, all of that, I'm going with Rodgers right now. Now, if we're talking about all-time, Tom Brady wins that argument easy. He wins it easy. But we're just talking about right now, though.
So let's say this: you're starting a brand new team. They're both coming into their prime. Brand new.
That's not a fair argument.
No.
In their prime,
wait. Okay, then.
I'm taking time in their prime, but that's why I said right now. It's a difference. If you start a team right now with them as is, you're not going to pick up Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers. Is all I'm saying. I know how much
you're talking about a 41-year-old quarterback compared to a 35-year-old.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I get that, but again, you're talking. So let's take age out of the equation. They're the same age. They're going into it. Who's the better quarterback?
Same age going into it. I'm gonna take Tom all time. Okay. I'm gonna take Tom over
any
quarterback.
That's all I'm saying.
It's just like I'm gonna take Jordan in his prime over any basketball player.
Fair enough.
Out next to maybe Kobe Bryant. But that's a different argument.
Obviously, we'll talk about that later.
Don't get me started.
We got a ways to go.
Yeah, my guy Tafela good. He's a Packer fan as well. That's one of my guys.
That's fine. That's all right. I just want to make sure we're realistic here because, again, as much talent Aaron Rodgers is, again, the success hasn't translated. That's the same thing we said about Peyton Manning. He's the greatest regular season quarterback, but in the postseason, he came up short a lot.
Yeah.
Now he got his rings when
he had a much better team too,
and he had a way better team.
He did.
You're talking about you had people like Marvin Harrison, and you had Reggie Wayne, and then you go to Denver Broncos, and you had like, come on now, like, and you weren't able to get this done.
Yeah, much better team.
That's why I thought it was laughable when people said Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady. It's laughable.
Nah, I think if you really wanted to be honest, if we was putting just quarterbacks from our era only, so if you threw the Brees, the Bradys, the Mannings, the Rodgers, if you threw all of them in there right now, I would say Peyton Manning would be like fourth for me.
Probably. Because I think Drew is better than him.
I'm taking Drew. I'm taking Tom. I'm taking
Aaron.
And I'm taking Drew. And then after that, you can throw in, Peyton Manning, and then who else would it be from our era? Give me another.
Peyton Manning would still fall in line there. If you're saying Tom, Drew, you throw in Aaron. I don't think he's worse than Big Ben. I think
he's better. I'm taking.
I think Peyton Manning's better than Phillip Rivers. I think Peyton Manning's better than Russell Wilson. Matty Ice. All them guys.
Okay, if that's what you're in comparison.
So again, but I do think his stats have dropped. I think he's dropped to where he needs to be.
Yeah, he's regressing, but I think it's a matter of like them not being willing to sign the players that keep your team consistent, which is one of the things he had gripes about. And then also, age does that to you. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at a certain point this season, he was like 20. He had like 23 touchdowns and like two interceptions. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
He actually, so it was an interesting stat. He hadn't, before the Chicago Bears game in week 14, week 15, he hadn't thrown an interception for almost 350 consecutive passes.
Fucking crazy. That's what I mean. That's my only thing with him is that he still performs regardless of who's there. Even after they lost the receiving core that they have, he lost Jordy Nelson. He had Adams down for a while. I don't even know who the dude's name on the team was with the two last names. What was that dude's last name?
Oh,
my God. I see whatever game it was he was playing, he was kicking ass. And I was like, who is this nigga out here with two last names that I ain't never seen? Two long ass. Yeah, it's two long ass last names.
It's like, how are you fitting that on the jersey?
Yeah, man. So I'm going to give it to Aaron Rodgers right now. But I mean, if and that's an interesting argument, though. And that kind of falls into another point that you had about, like, whose fault was this Super Bowls as far as quarterbacks since we're talking about him.
Yeah.
With Jared Goff, like, what's the issue with Jared Goff in big games? Is it age? Is it youth? Is it just going up against a legendary coach who had a game plan for him?
I think obviously age has to play into it. So I mean, again, I don't think I'm going to put out exactly where I feel about him yet. I think we're still too early. I mean, you're talking about the kid's only been in the league for 3 years,
right?
And you're talking about his third season. He's playing in a Super Bowl. But we can look back and say, in primetime games, you have not shown up, and you have not shown up the way that you can. Like I go back to that Sunday night game against the Bears. We shut him down with almost little ease. Like it wasn't, and again, and they even said, I was listening to I forgot, it was some ESPN radio, but they were even talking about Bill Belichick went back and watched that specific game to figure out what our game plan was and how to stop him. And that's the same thing that they implemented. Makes same thing. And again, it says something about the decision making. Now, again, that could be just a young thing. But I mean, I don't blame Jared Goff fully. I think this, my opinion, I think this falls on Sean McVay. And I think
he didn't change the game plan at
all. Like there was no adjustments. Like again, you saw the Patriots in the second half at least make the adjustments to come out and say, hey, now we need to figure out how to score points. But Sean McVay, and it's interesting because the entire league is coming in trying to mimic and is trying to figure out, hey, we need the next Sean McVay. That was with the Cliff Kingsbury hire. That's with the guy from Tennessee who went to the Green Bay head coach job. All of these were to mimic, hey, we need the next Sean McVay. Hell, what's his name just went to Cincinnati. The quarterback's coach that's under Sean McVay for the LA Rams.
About that too. Yeah.
He went to Cincinnati for their head coach. This is the exact thing. But I think we got to look at, is that the right way to go?
I mean, the way that it looked, it's hard to quantify regular season success with playoff success because the game plans are different. You're schemed against differently. And that was the one thing that you just mentioned that I thought was important was how the Patriots did make the adjustment. But another thing I thought was interesting was how, like like the media days and shit like that when they would talk to Sean McVay, and he kept talking about how he had conversations with Belichick throughout the year, and he would call and text him. And but that now, when you think about it, it's like, bro, he was doing that to pick your fucking brain because he had a feeling you were gonna do. Like, and you just sat there and kept talking to the nigga how's it going, Mr. Belichick? Let me tell you about this offense. Let me tell you about this shit I did today that worked against the Seahawks or whatever it was. Like, no, dumb nigga. Like, stop talking to that nigga. Why are you talking to him throughout the season? I never heard of that shit before. No. Like. So I think a lot of that is right. It is. But at the same time, I just think he put together the right game plan. And then another thing that we talked about is the Todd Gurley situation, which nobody could really give you a straight answer to why he's not playing the way that you would expect. So I think that played a huge role. You can only depend on C.J. Anderson for so long. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reason he's bounced around to 3 or 4 different teams since he actually
didn't even play entire season until what is that, week 15 when Todd Gurley went
down? He looked
down?
like Tua himself.
Yeah, oh my god!
Like he looked like a different, for real. Like, he looks like Tua himself. Pause. Like he does. So, but I mean, he was effective the 2 games before. But I think it's not hard to plan against him. If Gurley's not healthy, it wasn't hard to have a game plan to stop C.J. Anderson. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a matter of great coaching and then bad timing for them to have the kind of games that they had. Like, it was just bad timing.
It was really bad, and it was unfortunate. But I mean, again, that also leads into kind of what we saw from the defensive side. Now the defensive coordinator Brian Flores goes ahead and gets a job as a head coach off this one season from New England. He gets a job at Miami.
So you can play Bill Belichick twice, and he knows exactly what you're gonna do because you ain't never coached an offense. So he knows that whoever the offensive coordinator is probably the person that was already there, which he probably is. Read every play that they have and recorded their conversations at Gillette Stadium, so he knows what you're gonna do. You know your ex-coach is a cheater, so you're gonna go to the same division as him, to a team that can never beat them.
Correct.
Just doesn't make sense how they swap coaches around in that division.
I think there's a number of things. I think when you look at all the Belichick disciples that have gone into head coaching, I mean, how many were really successful? I mean, besides Bill O'Brien, I mean, can we really say any of them have really turned out? Josh McDaniels had an epic fail in Denver. You had the guy that ended up going to Notre Dame. I can't remember his name right now. It's escaping me. But he ended up failing and got fired there. Romeo Crennel goes and gets a head coach. Charlie Weiss. He goes and fails. Romeo Crennel gets a job and he fails horribly.
Much better
I mean, at this stage, I mean, what are we really saying here?
That Belichick is the greatest coach ever, and that shit don't rub off.
It doesn't.
It's like
even when you look at Matt Patricia, who was his defensive coordinator for the last 5 years, and he went to Detroit and did nothing.
They look like they got worse.
Like horrible.
I would probably say the only person that you can kind of throw in there would be Bill. I would say is Parcells, because Parcells worked with him for
Parcells, he's a disciple of Parcells.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, they worked with the Giants together, really. Yeah. So
Nick Saban, if you want to throw Nick Saban,
I mean, that's fine. Well, Nick Saban failed at the NFL level
right,
with Miami, so
I mean, say that either.
I mean, I guess if you want to say Alabama, just because they're one of the greatest dynasties in college football, sure, let's do that. But other than that, I mean, on the NFL level, you're plucking from this New England hierarchy, and unless you get Belichick, you're not getting anything. It doesn't feel like
Bill Belichick does his coaches like R. Kelly was doing the girls in his house. He keep them all in separate rooms.
Way left real quick.
He keep them all in separate rooms. No, I'm telling you, he keep them all in separate rooms. And he don't let them text or email each other. So they don't know what the fuck they doing. They just get out on the practice field. It's like a new game. He just keep them all separated. You know what I'm saying? So, but then think about it. If you do it that way, when they leave, they can't tell you what the fuck the offense is doing. That nigga Brian Flores probably like, I don't know what the fuck Josh McDaniels. I was
wondering when we were gonna get an R. Kelly reference.
We tried to meet up by the restroom to talk about the game plan, and the security stopped us.
Oh my god!
Fuck the Patriots. Okay, so whatever to them, but nah, for real though, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. If the grade is given by Super Bowls, then it has to be him. Like 5, okay, we can talk about you in Montana. 6, though, yeah, get the fuck out of here, Joe. You know, I got love for Joe Montana, but I'm going Tom.
I think if no matter how you grade it, I mean, it's at this point, who's really doing better?
Right.
So, it is what it is. So I mean, there's a lot, but I mean, I think the biggest blame falls on Sean McVay. I mean, he needs to figure that out, especially because they put so much money into that defense, and I mean, he came there to do that offense. So they got to the Super Bowl. It's just kind of disappointing that they didn't put up a better fight.
Good for the Rams though. That just means they got some work to do and come back. You know,
are they gonna have any money next time around?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. It is what it is. So I mean, we'll see how it is. I think the other thing that we wanted to touch on for football wise, right before the Super Bowl, they had wonderful NFL honors where they gave out the yearly awards, and I think both our teams were kind of showcased.
Well represented. Okay, the shining moment for my team the whole year has been Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So, I saw a lot of the talk about who was going to win Rookie of the Year. Unless the Browns have a winning season, don't give them shit. Don't reward them for mediocrity. Yes, Baker Mayfield he turned around, the direction of the season, but still though,
did we talking about have a winning season?
I don't give a fuck. I'm talking about if you're gonna give it to somebody, give it to somebody who had a great year all year.
Okay.
Like don't enough. Give it to a nigga who had a great half year.
Yeah.
Like, Saquon did great all year with a trash offensive line.
Okay.
We got rid of Eric Flowers. We had a rookie on the line. Nate Solder sold us out. So he was back there creating with nothing, and he was treating it like he was still in college. So I gotta give it to him. No disrespect to Baker Mayfield at all, because he did have a fucking crazy year, and I hope that they come back next year and actually do well, which they probably won't, because that's how it works in Cleveland. Jason Campbell had a couple 7-win seasons, you know what I mean, and that turned out to be nothing. So
Jason Campbell, I haven't heard that.
Remember
name,
that shit. Remember that.
We had him for like 1 year too.
Oh yeah, I did.
He was a backup.
He was a solid pro. But yeah, that and then UA's coach, UA's coaches did a great job there in the honors. So
man. If you have to find some silver linings in such a heartbreaking end of the season, Matt Nagy, good Lord, we definitely found the right hire in that, man. Again, you go from anytime you go from last in the division to first in the division. I mean, I think you just have to win. Like again, everybody was talking about, well, Matt Nagy shouldn't have won. It should have went to Frank Wright from the Indianapolis Colts to be coach of the year. I had a problem with that argument, and I saw a lot of comments like on Twitter and everything where they were talking about what Frank Wright did for that team and how they went through. And the biggest thing I have with that is Frank Wright went into a pretty okay situation. Like he took a gamble on Andrew Luck being there.
Right.
And I think if you're looking at a team where with a healthy Andrew Luck, they went to the AFC Championship game. Yeah. Andrew Luck is the absolute truth. So the fact that you got him healthy, how much can I really put on you? Because their old head coach got them to the playoffs with a healthy Andrew Luck. So, I mean, again,
I think it was more so that the talent they had on their offensive line, they had a couple rookies, and then the pieces that they were able to work with for him to still be able to manage the Frank Gore thing and, get another running back in there that can perform at the same level that he was before he left. Because, they had that the trouble with the running backs, I mean, Hilton being injured, those type of things. And then they had Jacoby Brissett, there before, who played pretty decent, but they didn't really have a lot of pieces that were just like, damn, they got a great team. I think to have that defensive rookie that they did with all the tackles and all of that, I think that was pretty good. But it wasn't compelling enough for me. Like, it's not a good enough story.
Yeah.
I think for you to win Coach of the Year, you need to have a team that does what the Bears did. Like, the Bears had everybody scared. Like, everybody was scared to play the Bears because of the defense. And because you all had a quarterback that was capable of getting shit done on the ground as well as through the air. So I think that was more so. I would have been more worried about playing the Bears in the playoffs than, I mean, of course it worked out the way it did because of whatever. But I think that they got it right. They got it right.
And the other shout out, obviously, Vic Fangio, our defensive coordinator, won assistant coach of the year.
Right.
So I mean, we had the double whammy there. The funny thing about that is I had a lot of my Bears fans actually comment about that and say they wanted to actually fire Matt Nagy and promote Vic so we wouldn't lose him. I died laughing. Laughing because, like, how are you going to fire a 12-win coach and to promote the defensive coordinator?
You know how easy it is to find a defensive coordinator in the NFL? That is the most disposable position on the coaching staff to me.
Oh my God.
Like, there are a ton of old head coaches that can be great defensive coordinators right now. Like, you can dig
and we hired one.
That's what I'm saying.
We hired one.
Like that's a gross misoverstatement.
Like it was insane. Like it was. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, you realize for the past 3 years before Matt Nagy, Vic was there, and we were still losing. So again, you're gonna promote him because what?
Because he got Khalil Mack, and he had a lot of talent. I mean that's another thing. Y'all had a stout defensive team. Like when you think about everybody that was on that side of the ball, from the cornerbacks to you all's defensive line to it just y'all had everything going for y'all. It's just unfortunate that y'all let the Eagles do y'all that way. Like
no, we let our fucking kicker do us that way.
Don't blame the kicker. He got blocked, nigga. We're not doing this again.
I'm blaming.
He can't control if somebody blocks the kick.
He can.
So he's supposed to still make it.
He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt when you miss 10 kicks in the regular season.
Oh my God.
You don't get the benefit of the doubt.
You do if it's blocked.
Not and not when the very next couple games, all the games, the Rams, the Saints, all won by what? A clutch field goal. Get out of here with this. I don't care.
Blame the offensive line.
Blame Cody Parkey. 11 missed kicks.
No, they had a chance. They had a chance for people to line up to take his place, and nobody did it. So
they're not professionals. Right. You can't bring them into it. Anything else on the NFL?
NFL. Something interesting for me? No. I think I'm good on the league now.
We're good on the league.
I think the halftime show was trash. I think we made a lot of people. I think a lot of people made. I felt kind of sucked into the hype because I thought Travis Scott had a whole set. But he was a featured artist on they shit. So I was like, I don't care about this.
Him and Big Boy.
Big Boy came out in his mink and got Pete all upset. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Big Boy for not giving a fuck because he knew that was going to happen. Yeah, you knew it. But no, I was disappointed in that. They could have kept Adam Levine. And the strange part is, and I was telling my girl this, as the halftime show is going on, like I'm kind of looking away from time to time. But every time I look away and come back, this nigga got on a one less item of clothing. And so by the time they got to song 4, this nigga has no shirt on, and he's in full Maroon 5 concert mode.
What was that damn movie with all them females was wild over the male strippers and shit? That's what it was.
This nigga just kept taking off clothes after like Travis Scott come out, he took off his jacket. You know what I'm saying? Then the next thing come out, he took off his vest. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. This is not that type of night, but whatever. They got what they wanted.
Did you have a favorite commercial?
Oh yeah, the NFL commercial took
the 100 NFL 100. Yeah, I don't think anything tops it.
I wasn't expecting it when it came on. I was like, oh, it's gonna be some shit where they just cracking jokes, but that shit was
they definitely did it. It was nice to see Brian Urlacher tackle Deion Sanders. That was That was an epic moment for me. I think the only close second commercial I just enjoyed because it was funny. The Stella commercial with the dude. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Big Lebowski, but that I just find that one comical. But no, it definitely didn't beat out the NFL 100. So I think
they did a good job with that.
And actually, there was a commercial that one of my guys actually told me about. I didn't even realize, but it was a Hennessy commercial.
Hey.
Did you see this?
No.
So
shout out to Hennessy.
Man. So
please become a sponsor. I'll hang up a Hennessy flag behind us if y'all with that shit.
I'm down. I'll cheers to that. I mean, we're drinking some form of it, but it's not Hennessy this time. What do we
nigga shit? When it's dark skin, that's when it's nigga
shit. But no, definitely. So this commercial, like this guy was racing, but he ended up being racing himself the entire time. And the end of the commercial is pretty much to show that nobody's fucking with you, bro. You only racing against yourself. And then the Hennessy just comes up.
Rabbit.
Like that. I mean, so
chasing your wild rabbit as Nas says as he commentates those commercials in his most distinctive voice. Like, nigga, you're Nas. If you don't kick a 16 on his own and tell me how much you sip Hennessy on a train in Queensbridge and get the fuck out of here.
Who's what's his name on Undisputed drinks Hennessy on stage with Shannon Sharp? Oh my God, that's what we gonna
see. Shannon Sharp.
Shannon, hook it up.
That's why I fuck with Shannon for that, because Shannon, like when he was in his house with his phone, he was showing all his Hennessy bottles. That nigga had the expensive shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, that's what I need.
Shannon, please.
Fuck all this VSOP shit, this $25 bottle shit I've been drinking since my younger days.
Yeah, the real shit.
Listen, I got put on a Hennessy and the Strange. It was connected to sports, so this is all.
Oh, good.
As a youth, I was shout out to my nigga Dex. You know what I'm saying? I was in Compton at the time. The Lakers was playing the Timberwolves in the Western. It was either the Western Conference Finals or semifinals. Either one. But it was they were playing against the Timberwolves when they had Sam Cassell on the trail.
The alien looking motherfucker.
Right, when we made it past them, and he was standing on his balcony, bro, and we yelling and talking shit and smoking blunts and all that kind of shit as kids do. And he like, hey, if you, I'm like, man, let me sip some of that drink. He like, man, if you sip this shit, you gonna have to come up here because I was underage or whatever, but that was my nigga. So go upstairs, right. No, standing on the porch with him. Hey, he handed me a cup. He drinking Hennessy out of goddamn 7-Eleven cup straight. And the first swig I took almost blew my mind. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? Why?
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
Why do I feel like dead on the inside? But it stuck forever, bro. So shout out to the Lakers beating the Timberwolves is my inspiration for Hennessy. And shout out to Nas for commentating them commercials. It took me a while to realize it was that nigga, but that's you, Nas. Yeah, but if y'all need somebody, we looking for sponsors. Hennessy, please. Crown, we'll put some Crown. We'll hang some Crown bags up.
I'm even okay with Irk and Jerk. Let's go. We can throw it all.
You know
the
what
way
I mean?
Back.
Some Jack. If we want to just be cultural about it, but any sponsor whatsoever. Oh, and shout out to what was the name of the company? What's the name of her company?
Customs.
Say it again.
Woo.
Say it again.
Customs. Woo and
Shout
we.
out to y'all for the shirts. You know what I'm talking about?
Check it out.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all for the shirts. This is some real shit.
These are some cold ass shirts.
Again, they got that on the front.
He's blind, but it's all right. We got to check it out, man.
On the back, so.
We trying to be official over here. So again, sponsors. Come on now. We got.
We'll take it, and we'll shout you out. Shout out the name of that company one more time.
We Customs.
You can find her on Instagram right now.
Instagram straight
right
flexing.
Now. So
I mean, you got to check it out. Lydia, she definitely hooked it up. She does a lot of
shout out
shirts.
to her.
So
and if you want a shirt, let us know. We can get you one made. Just inbox us. Let us know the size, and we'll get it sent to you. We'll talk about the prices and all that shit when you let us know you're serious. A lot of times people tell you prices and it scare you off, so I'm not gonna tell you no price. If you want one, you let us know, and we'll talk about it then.
What's that movie where he came out? Surprise, motherfucker! That's just what it's gonna be. We just gonna come out.
Right.
It's gonna be just that motherfucker's face on it, and it's gonna have the price on it. Like,
right.
It's not that bad though. Come on,
right.
you can message us.
So as we transition into some fucking NBA talk, interesting NBA season, interesting NBA trades, interesting. What I will say about this year, and this is something that I am proud to say as an avid NBA fan. I know this is a show called the Giant Bear Podcast where we pretty much talk about
football season's
football. You know what I mean? But I will say that this season for me has been an eye opener to how things have changed in the NBA, from the style of play to the type of players that are playing, from Luka Doncic to the Greek Freak being who he is now, from the teams that are stacked from Golden State to the trades that kind of stack some other teams. I'm loving it right now. This is definitely what, as a basketball fan, that you want to see. You want to see a time where the players have more control of what they have going on and where the moves are being dictated because the players have that control. So before a player like Tobias Harris can come up and demand the max from you, you trade him and get more assets in order to get that off. Like, that shit is crazy. It never used to happen that way. Like, if you had an all-star on your team, you paid that nigga and he stayed there for however long until you traded him. So I think now, seeing how it is, it makes it more interesting for me. Like, we have to do something to combat the Golden State thing. So I like the moves that Toronto made to get Marc Gasol there with Kawhi, and that team looks strong in the East as well as Philadelphia. So you got to do something, man. Like, I appreciate the Lakers being aggressive and shit like that because it shows that you doing what you need to do to win. It don't always work out, unfortunately, but it's been an interesting season though. Real talk.
Again, I think what you mentioned there is kind of what worries me about the league, because the fact that everything is being done right now to combat the Warriors, I think that's a problem. Right. I mean, we're looking at some Marvel Avengers type shit where everybody's just trying to beat Thanos, and that's, you have the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, KD, and Boogie Cousins, who has not missed a fucking step.
To step it off.
Like, again, I don't understand what you can do, barring any injury, to beat them. I get it. Toronto looks good. Boston is doing their thing. They look like once the playoffs start, they're going to turn it up. But other than that, any one of those teams, are they really competing? The fact that the Golden State Warriors can put up 51 points in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Are we really in a good place in the NBA?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't see how we aren't. I mean, I think the skill
level of competition says that we're not.
Well, we're speaking about one team, but we've had dynasties throughout every sport. Would you say the level of competition in the NFL is going down?
No.
How, when we've had the same team winning Super Bowls for the past 10 years? See what I'm saying? Like, how is it not the same argument?
Well, here's the reason why I say that. So maybe this year is going to be different. But the reason why I say that is before this year, we had 4 of the same NBA finals. 4 with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. That puts me in a mindset to say, where else is the competition? Where?
Well, there has to be a best team from each conference, right?
The same 2 teams 4 years in a row?
But because of the way that they were built, the teams were built that way for a reason. It's a competitive league, regardless of how the finals ends up. We know Golden State is the best team in the league. It's a given. But my thing is, there's always been eras of teams that have dominated. Like, we can't discount what the Spurs did for a certain amount of time. Like, we can't discount what the Lakers did. We can't discount what the Bulls did. So those are teams that had dominant eras.
So let me ask this, because you brought up the comparison of the NFL. I understand the Patriots have been there. This past year, the year before that, and the year before that, could you honestly say the Patriots were the better team in any one of those situations? Against the Rams were a more young, talented team. Against the Eagles, the same thing. It was a more talented team. Even against the Falcons, Matty Ice, Julio Jones, Tevin Coleman.
I never felt like the Patriots were underdogs.
But again, that's because of I don't think that's because of their talent. I don't think they've ever been truly talented.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if I can't base them being the better team off strictly talent, because if nobody else, they've proved that it's not sheerly about talent. So I never judged whether or not their receivers matched up with who the Eagles has to say that that's the better team. If I'm looking at the Patriots, I'm saying the Patriots are a better team because at the 2 most important positions out there, they have 2 of the greatest, right? So that's what I'm looking at. So if you got Brady and Belichick, the chances of you winning are sky high, like literally sky high. So I would say that's the same with Golden State. Like, at the most important positions, that they have high level talent, but at the same time, they've also lost in the finals. So it's easy to say that they're the best team and that the talent level isn't there, but they've lost in the finals.
I think that finals, you can really look to the suspensions midway through the finals for that game 4 and 5 where Draymond was knocked out or he was suspended for the game. I think there was a momentum shift. So, but that's fine. I'll still give you that. I'll still give you that they did lose. Mm-hmm. But I think when you're looking at this point, do we not know the end of this season? Do we not know where this is going? Do we believe at the end of this season the Golden State Warriors will not be NBA championships again or champions again?
Injury forbidden, no. There's not I don't foresee it happening.
If we get to that point where it's you can, but at least a 75%
to the limit. It's just they have the thing about basketball is, and unlike football, is that a player in basketball getting hot like a James Harden can control the narrative for an entire series depending on who he's playing, right? But you can have that same player have that same streak against that same Golden State team and get swept. And that's the difference in like the talent levels and what we're talking about. In basketball, the disparity is a little bit different because if 2 of them niggas have an off night, KD and Steph can still kick it in for 30 and they can win. It's tough to beat them. I understand that. But we have seen them lose, though. We have seen them lose.
Did they have Kevin Durant and Boogie Cousins?
No, but again.
So you take out Draymond, who is arguably their best defender, due to suspension.
He only got 1 game though.
It still shifts the momentum. Sports is.
They was up 3-1, so they lost 3 games in a row.
That's fine, but again,
it's possible.
You change that momentum, so you take out Draymond for at least 1 game. Clay has an off game. Steph can't hold it all by himself. If you're going up against LeBron and that team, couldn't do it. At this point, though, you could have 2 out of the 5 people off, and they can still put up those points.
Right. But how is that a bad thing for basketball?
That's the competition level. I feel like I feel like if you don't have a league where competition, here's the ultimate thing that comes down to. When you have players that run the league and that can do things like this, where you're just loading up these one teams, I think that's bad. I also think, but let me also say on the other spectrum of this, I also think the way the NFL is set up, where the owners control everything, is also bad. There needs to be a happy medium. I don't think one party should control the entire league. Because again, you have the players disgruntled because again, they're not getting paid on the NFL side, but then you have the players on the NBA side who are just doing whatever the hell they want.
Right.
You're creating these teams. LeBron is just going whatever the fuck he wants. He's literally recruiting guys at the All-Star game. What the fuck are we saying?
But he's winning. Like I don't foresee it. I've never known a time in the NBA where you had one great player and he was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take this team on my own and I'm gonna win a championship. It's always been a collective of players, regardless of how we viewed it. If we look back at all the teams that have won championships, who was outside of the Mavericks playing with Dirk, give me another team that had one superstar that won a championship.
Would you, besides Tim Duncan, would you really consider the Spurs having all superstars
at the time? So we're gonna discount Tony Parker and superstars. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili aren't Hall of Fame basketball players?
Would you consider them superstars? So again, I guess what is your definition of a superstar? Because when I think of a superstar,
I don't think it has to be a superstar, but you have to have a collection of players to win a championship. You have to have a collection of players to win.
I think when you have the problem of one player being able to recruit left and right some of the best players in the league.
But how is that a problem? So when you go to the gym to hoop, you look for the worst niggas in there?
It's not about looking for the worst niggas. It's about looking at the entire league. And you're talking about you have 30 teams in this league.
But that's not his problem. That's not his problem, though. That's the thing that I don't get. When people talk about somebody creating a super team, how is that his problem? Because he got people that
it's not. He's maximizing the opportunity.
Exactly.
I don't think that's good for the league. I think, again, you're discounting the 28 other teams in this league because this guy wants to let me pull this superstar, and let me discredit that entire team.
So what is a GM's job?
It's to build a roster.
To draft well, to make proper trades and sign free agents, right? That's not a player's job to do.
But a player is surely doing it.
That's one, though, but that's his fault. So because he has the power to do this, it's a problem for the GMs that get paid millions of dollars. These GMs get paid millions of dollars to build teams. So the GM of the Charlotte Hornets can sit up and cry and say, oh, LeBron is getting all the players. Well, what the fuck are they paying Rich Cho for? Or what the fuck are they paying the GM of the Bucks for if you can't go out and get players the same way that he is? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like,
I think we have a comment from the audience.
What? Oh. My fault. Yeah.
we have a special guest visiting in from Cali actually, but home raised from Chicago. My boy Ty, he has a couple comments. You want to come on and share? He's just talking to the mic, brother. That's all it takes.
I mean, so both of y'all, the thing about it is both of y'all making like solid points because, like you said, like of course, yeah, it's the GM job, right, to recruit these people, but if you hooping, you know what I'm saying, and the GM ain't the nigga that's standing with you hooping, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really care what the GM come tell me. If LeBron come tell me, like, yo, come over here, you know what I'm saying, we finna do this, and that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, obviously, he not finna be the one that cut your check, but the thing about it is the majority of these people want to be Hall of Famers. They want to be in them. They want to be in them great talks, and they know if you don't get that ring, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So what the GM telling you with the money behind it. But when LeBron come tell you, you like, okay, well, because it's like you said, when you at the gym, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to necessarily be on a losing team, but at the same time, do you want to just be in there sweeping shit the whole time?
Yes.
What's the fun in that? I ain't never wanted to be on that type of team.
Winning for me is the point of playing any sport competitively.
Winning against somebody who's worth beating is the reason that you want to play them games. It's not
as a professional though, you can't be concerned about the talent on the other team. Like if I'm a professional getting paid millions of dollars, I don't give a damn who's on the other side, right? So
so you can't say you can't even make that argument then. If you're saying it in the gym at 24-hour fitness.
I don't care.
For that.
I don't care who's on the other side of me. I want to be on the team that's winning, right?
But the thing about it, so LeBron he's steady getting this argument to where, yeah, you can't really be the greatest because you ain't got no competition. So, but at the same time, you're saying put all the competition on your team and you're gonna get the win. But then, how do you consider yourself the best if you ain't never beat the best? You playing with the best. Or it's one team that's got all the best, so you go get all the best on your team, and now y'all trying to figure out that. So do that shit in the summer league. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's for not the point, you know what I'm saying?
Like I think a lot of times with especially in the NBA, the main focus for most NBA players now is to win a championship. If I've been busting my head against a wall for 6 straight years trying to get here and I can't win a championship on my own, am I supposed to go another 6 years and bust my head against the wall? Or can I join up with somebody who has the same goal as me and maybe we can help each other win? Like that's the part of it that I'm thinking.
Wait. And here's my point. So I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is I can't fault LeBron or KD or any of these people for doing what they're doing for what it's allowed. What I'm saying is I think this is bad for the fans' sake of it. Again, you're looking at these teams. So before you got LeBron as a Lakers fan, how were you really feeling about what was your optimistic value for your team going forward?
We was rebuilding. We've been rebuilding as the Lakers for the past 5 years. So
as a Chicago Bulls fan, we have been absolute fucking trash for years since Thibodeau left. Trash. So as a fan for these other teams, that's how I'm speaking about this. Again, you're as a Lakers fan, you got LeBron. He's trying to make moves to put you guys in a position to where you're in those finals or at least the conference finals. What I'm saying is that's good for those teams. That's good for the Golden State Warriors. That's good for the LA Lakers. That's good for the Toronto Raptors.
Right.
But for the other 26, 27 other teams, we are fucked. But we're just sitting there and watching the show.
That's a great point. But why is Chicago fucked? It's not because of LeBron. It's not because of Golden State. Why is Chicago fucked right now?
I mean, but that's obviously that's our.
It's the front off.
Yeah,
that's my point in it all. Like,
but like I said, though, I get you. But at the same time, like Chicago, damn near, our front office is damn near like the NFL, to where
exactly
the team that like y'all said, we kind of like the part to where, for whatever reason, our players don't got nothing in the say of it. We got the fucking plantation on it in our head in Chicago. But it's like, for whatever reason, we the anomaly in the league, so that shit is just gonna always be bad for us until somehow, some way, we get them out of there.
It's bad because they didn't value the players that they had and the team that they had because they did have a good transition period with Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Luol Deng and Kirk Heinrich and Jimmy Butler. At that point in time, they were doing well, but they fell into the same thing that most NBA teams do, is chasing free agents. They chased after Carmelo when he was a free agent and before he signed with New York again. They chased after LeBron. You know what I mean? Like they were a part of it too. You know what I mean? Like they were a part of going after him too. A lot of teams were because they're.
But that's what we saying though, because that's how it's different for us because the front office was, but our team wasn't.
Because it wasn't an attractive. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. He just said John Paxson. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if the only thing that I see LeBron doing is going somewhere and posturing himself and saying, if you want to win, this is where I want to go. I'm finna go back to Cleveland. Kyrie's there. Can I get Kevin Love to come to the team?
So isn't that the problem with? That's what I'm saying. Isn't that the problem? That the fact that this man goes to Cleveland, you have Kyrie, you bring in the power forward. I'm sorry, what's his name? Kevin Love. You bring these people in, and then same thing with Miami. You go there with D Wade. You bring in Chris Bosh. You're building these teams. You're recruiting them literally at the All-Star game. You're having these conversations about All-Star game. What does that do for the Toronto Raptors who lose? Chris Bosh. What does that do? What does that do for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
What is the correlation?
Who lose Kevin Love? What I'm saying is, for these fan bases, for this fan base of the NBA,
I think what I'm missing,
terrible for the majority of the league.
But you're not connecting to me. How is this killing a league that's probably the most successful league in the United States right now?
Because you're only talking about 2 to 3 markets.
But it's not. It doesn't last forever. So was the league dead when Jordan won 3 back-to-back twice?
You still had.
What's the difference, bro? Like that's what I'm asking.
You still had.
The difference it was Jordan wasn't the one that was going out there that was building that team. Jordan was playing the way he was playing. Like you said, that was when the GMs, they was making the moves to what needed to happen. Jordan was a player. If all of these people is coming over here to play with me, who the hell am I gonna play against? That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I feel like as far as when I'm hooping, if I'm hooping against somebody, it's like playing with kids, bro. It's like how
I think that's a stretch. I wouldn't say playing against other professionals is like playing against kids. All these niggas go to D1 colleges. They all get the same trainers and scouts. They get all the same utilities as far as the facilities they use and weight trainers and nutritionists. My thing is because that argument is valid if it's the player in LeBron recruiting people and getting them, but that argument doesn't apply to Golden State. That's why I went that route, because you could be mad at LeBron, but Golden State drafted Steph Curry. Golden State drafted Klay Thompson. Golden State drafted Draymond Green.
But we gotta remember, Golden State happened after Miami. That was after.
But even still, they drafted their team. So how was that's what I mean? So
but then they picked up Kevin Durant.
Because that's what teams do. When the team has money, you sign free agents. So you mean this is what y'all telling me, right? So we got a team that won a championship, right? Cool. Win a championship. We got players that we drafted. When you have the opportunity to get another player and you got the money, you gonna tell them you turning that down?
Wait. That's what I'm
asking. Because the argument, that's why I'm saying we're getting off track, because your initial argument was that Golden State is killing the league. So they killing the league because they drafted well.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the league is being killed because of how the players are recruiting other players to their team and discrediting these other 28 to 27 other teams.
But that's
what I'm saying is, again, like what so yeah, again, if you
but LeBron ain't winning championships. So we're talking about Golden State.
Let me say this. Hold on. KD in OKC could not get to he did get to the finals and he still lost.
Okay.
He still lost to who? Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, not Cleveland.
He lost to Miami.
Miami. I apologize. He goes to Golden State. he goes to Golden State to win his championship because what? He couldn't beat LeBron and the team that he's building.
No, he went to Golden State because he couldn't beat Golden State.
He got past them, though. He got past them the first time.
No, they played against Golden State. They lost to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. He went to Golden State the next year.
You're right. Yeah. So my only point to this, it's not because of good Golden State has done. It's because of how the league has turned into. And again, everybody's running to one or two teams to make it to the finals. And what I'm saying is that hurts and looks bad.
But that's not what's happening right now. I guess I'm lost, because that's not what's happening right now.
So you already know who's
nobody's on the Lakers. Nobody's on the Lakers.
But we all know in this offseason what he's about to do. So this was.
But that's not a guarantee. They said the same thing last year.
This was his first year. Hey, he's going to try to figure out. I guarantee you, he's going to make his moves that he needs to make in the offseason.
That's what I just want to know what's the alternative. So I understand what you don't like. Tell me what these teams are supposed to do right now to fix this. Okay.
The front office is supposed to make moves.
I'm saying the players have way too much control. That is what I'm ultimately saying.
So a player shouldn't control where he wants to play basketball.
That's not the control. That's not the control.
Why shouldn't I? But in regular life, we control where we go to work and who we work with. We do that shit now. So we do it right now, Elijah. So how I control where I work right now?
Let me ask. What happened when the league blocked CP3 from going to the Lakers? Why was that decline? Why was that the standard? But now that's no longer the standard because of what it
got declined because they had an owner. They didn't have an owner.
The value was to make sure the league stayed competitive. That was their stance. At least that's what they put out. They wanted to keep the league competitive, and they knew that CP3 going to LA with Kobe, with Powell, that destroys the competitive nature of the league. And so that's what we're looking at. When you're talking about the NFL, when you're talking about the NBA, when you look at the NFL, you could honestly say, besides what the Patriots' successes have been, you could honestly say just about any team can make it. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're in the AFC Championship.
You're on some bullshit now. There was no way.
They were in the AFC Championship game just last year.
You're not gonna hit me with
Come
that.
on now.
You're not gonna sit and tell me Jacksonville had a chance to beat the Patriots. Stop, bro.
They had the number one defense in the league.
I don't care about that. That doesn't mean nothing, Elijah. It don't mean nothing.
Whole point is,
y'all had the greatest defense in the league last year.
My whole point, and we had the chance. What I'm saying is, my point, compared to the NFL and the NBA, any NFL team has a better chance of making it to the Super Bowl than any NBA team making it to the NBA Finals. That's what I'm saying. But
why is that a good thing? Why is that better than knowing who the best teams are in the league? It's always been this way.
That shouldn't be every year.
Why was it? Okay, so if you're telling me the Golden State isn't a problem and they drafted well and all of this, right? And they go to the finals 4 or 5 years in a row.
Not a problem either.
No, that's what. Just let me get to where I'm going.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that means that the Spurs drafting well wasn't a problem when they won 5 rings. It means that the Bulls wasn't a problem when they won 6 rings. I'm just trying to quantify what is the difference between a person saying, you know what, I want to win a championship. And with Boogie Cousins, he even said, I didn't get a phone call for free agency. So if I'm that nigga, I'm like, you did. I want to go win the ring. Was he supposed to go sign with somebody else and say, no, I want to beat y'all? No, I want to go play and win the ring too.
So hold on. So during the San Antonio runs, during the LA runs, during the Bulls runs, they were still going up against competitive teams. I mean, you still had the 90s Bulls still going up to the Utah Jazz. You still had them going up against the Detroit Pistons. You still have people, they were still going up with the LA Lakers with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. So like, let's not twist that where the league in itself was still competitive.
The Lakers had a player.
You're still going against the LA Lakers with Kobe Bryant. The Bulls at that point had an MVP, Derrick Rose. Like, it wasn't like it was just these set teams where it's like, all right, This is.
It's been LeBron. We talk about 8. How many finals he's made? How many finals has LeBron made? And in that path to the finals, he has played all those teams that you just named. So I really, if we're talking about just looking at teams and teams making decisions, I don't care what LeBron come up to me and say in the offseason, my nigga. Like, if I don't want to play with you, I don't want to play with you. These men are discussing winning championships because there's a different way of doing it now. It's not what it used to be when you get drafted to a team and you stay there for 20 years and you wait and pray that they draft again and get a free agent. But and even if we're going back to the Pistons, think about how stacked that Pistons teams that played from Maxwell to Rodman to Dumars to Thomas to Lambeer, bro. They had a stacked ass team,
and then they still got beat by
exactly. So that shit don't mean nothing, bro. That's what I mean.
What I'm saying is
it don't mean nothing.
Competitive level to it. There was a competitive level.
God. So they have a stacked team and they lose, so it's competitive.
Wait, so from 91, 92, 93, did you honestly believe that first championship that Jordan won, did you think that was a guaranteed thing? Even in 93, in his last of his
no, not his first one. I mean, no, I'm not gonna say I thought the first one was
even if his last of his third. Did you think that was the guaranteed win for the Bulls
against the Jazz?
Yes, against the Jazz
after he had already won 2. Yes. So y'all watched that series against the Jazz and you thought they was gonna lose? Are you kidding me? What are we looking at? This is I'm so lost because I'm thinking about all the dominant eras of teams. Like, that doesn't make any sense, bro. Like,
there was a fear.
Y'all niggas want these niggas to go to work and just stay there and not want to win and get better. Like, it ain't. It is. They are in control of their destiny.
No, you're again. We're missing the point here. All I'm saying is, I don't blame the players. I don't blame them for what they're doing. I know that they're going there to chase their rings. Absolutely. Do what you got to do.
So what
I'm saying is, as a fan watching this, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see, as a Chicago Bulls fan.
So you blame John Paxson, don't blame LeBron James?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, what the hell?
Yes,
that's it. That's what I'm saying. That's his fault, bro. It's not LeBron James' fault that you don't have a GM that can recruit players, which is his primary job.
But LeBron, why did LeBron need to go from Cleveland to Miami to do that, and then go back to Cleveland to do that, and now come to LA to do that?
He went to Cleveland to Miami because he had taken a team to the finals that was trash, and they never gave him any other players in Cleveland that he could play with. Like, he never had a team in Cleveland that was competitive enough to win a championship. I think that was evident from, but you made it okay, and we know that. Like, that's just what to your point that you just said, who was in the East when he was playing? Like, who was he going against to get to the finals when he played his very first finals? Exactly. So he made it through an easy-ass Eastern Conference, which has been trashed for years. We all know that. So he played in Cleveland a solid 7 years, gave you all you got. Okay, we talking this summer. I'm cool with D-Wade. I'm going to come out here and play with you to win. Whose fault is that? It's the GM's fault to sell you have to sell that, my nigga. You get paid to do that. I understand the business part, the money, but it is also your job to bring talent in. It is your job to build a serviceable team to make a nigga want to stay. Kobe had a chance to leave the Lakers how many times? He threatened to leave the Lakers how many times? He was on the verge of signing with the Clippers in 2004. You know why he didn't? Because the GM talked him into staying. Because that's that nigga's job. It ain't nobody else's job to get players on your team. It ain't LeBron's job to do it. But the reason he's able to do it is because they see it's a person who facilitates. He's going to give me the ball, and I'm going to win a championship. Is that not a thing that's not a desirable thing?
What I'm saying is the door was opened. The door was open for that type of decision making, for that type of thing. Again, after the last collective bargaining agreement, this was what was created. So again, when you're looking at OKC, when you're looking at the Chicago Bulls, when you're looking at before LeBron got to LA, when you looked at the Lakers, when you looked at all these teams,
they put that shit in place to stop that. And the part of the collective bargaining agreement that was supposed to work for the small market teams was that they can offer more money to these free agents to keep them from leaving. But they don't.
That doesn't work.
They don't give a fuck about that. That's what I'm saying. It's not about money. You can offer money to niggas. They don't care no more. They want to win a ring. Like that's what everybody's playing for. The standard is a ring, and however you need to get it is how you gonna get it. But we can't sit and say that, oh, this is a problem because the players have control, but then have a game like last night where they dangling this nigga Harrison Barnes and trade this nigga mid-game to another team and sit him down. So fuck all that shit. I don't give a fuck about these owners. I don't give a fuck about these teams. If they could trade me in the middle of a game and make me sit down for a team that's paying me $25 million, why do I care if I want to go play somewhere else when I'm disposable to these niggas?
But you think I'm arguing for the sake of the GM? I'm not arguing for the
no,
sake
I don't.
Of the GM.
I don't think that. But that's who's at fault there.
Yeah,
it's their fault.
You're absolutely right. But what I'm saying is, as a fan, this now makes me not want to watch this.
Well, don't watch the Bulls.
Don't watch
the Bulls. But if we're talking about, we can't say that we can compare it to the NFL when a team like Jacksonville has a good year like they had and don't get back the next year. That's not a positive. There's no continuity there.
I think that gives hope for Jacksonville better than what it does for any other team in the NBA.
Like Milwaukee? Compare Milwaukee to Jacksonville. Same shit. Win their division last year, make the playoffs. You know what they have this year? Sustainable success to be able to come back.
Got what I'm saying. The only reason I brought up Jacksonville is because they literally were in the AFC.
It's too much parity in the NFL. They don't have any control over that shit, so they sit and cry for being stuck on teams that they don't want to be on. Le'Veon Bell just sat off of a Pittsburgh team that wouldn't pay him. They wouldn't pay the nigga. So we can't say that they got it right over here because they dangling paychecks in front of these niggas. They don't.
In the beginning of this show, let's rewind.
They don't.
I want us to go back because
I'm not saying you said that, but I'm using that as a point to show you where I'm going with this. I would rather have it to where, as a player, you have control of what you're doing. I would rather have that.
Ultimately, what I'm getting at is I think there needs to be somewhere in the middle because I don't think either one of these leagues have it completely right.
So that's why I ask you, what do you want the alternative to be?
Again, we're gonna have to have a whole show about the details of what it
no,
needs
because
to be.
right now if the players have control, the only alternative is the owners having control. There is no in the middle.
There has to be because there's no, again, collective bargaining agreement is all about, okay, what am I okay giving up to get? That's what it's all about. So what it is what is the compromise? What is the true compromise? And that's where we need to figure out. If the league said, hey, all right, so we're going to find a middleman in between player contracts and team contracts to make them okay to where, hey, it's beneficial. Let's do some incentivizing. Let's do something where we can incentivize players to come play for our teams. There is a way to do this.
They did. That's what I'm saying. They did that.
But what I'm saying is
they offered you more money to stay where you was, and they are taking less.
But obviously they don't care about the money. So that's what I'm saying. You need to find a different motivation. The only reason I say the NFL is I do think it leans a little bit more to that side than it does to the NBA
There's
side.
no innovation in the NFL. It's you play for us for what we tell you to play for, or we franchise you and pay you at average because they don't have a choice. So you take away choice and that's good? I don't want anything close to the plantation mentality that the NFL has. Fuck that shit. You can't even kneel on the sideline. You can't even kneel in the locker room as a Dallas Cowboy. I don't want nothing to do with that.
I agree.
My only point with the NBA is the only difference is that there was this mindset in the old NBA where you stay on one team and you play for that team until you retire. And if you win a championship, you do, or if you don't, you Reggie Miller or you Charles Barkley. And that these young niggas ain't going for that, bro. Like that's not something that I agree with.
But I think
I'm with the pro-choice. I think I'm with it. Like if I see a team that I feel like I fit on better. What about
the Dallas Mavericks? Dirk stayed and he got his ring.
But what did they do? The GM built a team around him that could win a ring. Where they fucked up was they didn't keep that team together because they thought that they could break it down and start it again. But they did exactly what a GM does. He didn't go get a bunch of superstars, and he did it in the era in which that was happening. He did it at the time that it was happening. Like, what did they do? Okay, we need what we need for Dirk. Dirk doesn't play in the post. We need a center down there. Let's go get Tyson Chandler. Bet. Let's go get Deshaun Stevenson. Bet. Let's keep Jason Terry, who's a 20-point scorer. Bet. Like, those are the moves that you make to win. You see what I'm saying? You make you. It's too far off.
Yeah, I know. I'm loosening it up so I can.
Yeah, but you gotta be able to make those moves to be able to sustain that success. And if you don't, the only person you could blame is the GM. Those are the people that should be at blame for that type of shit. I don't think we can sit and say, oh, because they talk at the All-Star game. I'm sure they talk at the All-Star game, but you are over there on a dumb mission, my nigga. Shout out to Mike Holden, man, right here.
What's up, people? I'm already at about I don't know how many drinks.
He's about 4 cups in, and now he's dismantling the equipment.
I'm still in.
I even think now though, and this is my honest opinion. I think now a product of all that's happening for the most part is that you see the trades like the Anthony Davis thing, how the Pelicans wasn't going for that shit. Like, nah, you're not finna tell us, you're not finna dictate how we go about this, which I respect. And those are the type of things you have to do when they do shit like that. Because as you can see last year, what happened with Paul George? I want to go to the Lakers. And it fucked up their whole season. So that part about it, I agree with. Like, if you're going to make those type of decisions, fine his ass for tampering. You know what I mean? Shut that shit. If you really in control of it, that's what the GM's supposed to do. I just feel like if you let them get their way, then you lost them because you already got the leverage. Like, New Orleans can get a better haul than what the Lakers is doing. I know they can. If they wait for the Celtics got more draft picks. They got better prospects than we have. I would much rather have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum than Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma. Do you got your shit together?
I'm back.
So that's my only point in it all though. Like on a serious note, but I think we had an hour, bro. I think we've reached an hour.
Are we at an hour?
We're 8 minutes over. So
I guess.
Yeah, so we're 8 minutes over.
I swear, look, staring at us and shit. Like, damn, that was a good conversation though. I felt like shit. That's going to be continued next week, ladies and gentlemen. I think we definitely need to dive into the NBA. I think this one is a lot of opinions and a lot of different things to kind of talk about.
And niggas unscrewing mics and breaking.
It wasn't like it was popping. Shut up! You know how much I've had to drink tonight. I'm sorry.
Shout out to everybody that watched though. I see all y'all in there. Shout out to everybody.
Definitely appreciate all the love, all the comments and shit. I mean, again, you see somebody comment about Jacksonville. Though. I just want to put that out there. Right. Just saying, but it's all right though. It's cool. It's dope.
Shout out to everybody, man, and we'll be back next week.
Again, remember the Shotes Woo-wee Customs.
Woo-wee.
I don't know how many. You know what? I just love this name.
I'm not even trying to say it. I'm not
like
gonna play
Woo-wee. All right,
that's the shirt.
Give a shout out to it.
If you need one, if it'll make you feel good about yourself.
It'll make me feel good. Right. I mean, if you just.
I almost got forced to wear it, but I stood tall.
You should have wore it. I don't understand.
Shout out to everybody, man. We'll catch y'all next week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube, the link that's in the post, and appreciate everybody. Shout out to my man for joining us too.
Absolutely.
We gotta
gotta get a camera. You got
camera time to my man here.
There it is.
Everybody know who's talking up in here, man. So
just make sure
we can get more guests and people to come on and offer an opinion.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate it.
Very opinionated. Appreciate y'all. Deuces. If I can get to the damn